one. I give you glory for all that you've done. Even though I don't deserve it, you did it. Ooh, even though I couldn't earn it, you give it. Who am I that you keep me on your mind? God, I'm just grateful for you. God, I'm just grateful for you. All my life you've been right here by my side. God, I'm just grateful for you. God, I'm just grateful for you. Whoa. You give me all my life. Been here with me all this time. I'm lifting both of my hands. You gave me chance after chance after chance, and I'm giving all that I am. 'Cause you gave me chance after chance after chance. I'm lifting both of my hands. You gave me chance after chance after chance, and I'm giving all that I am. 'Cause you gave me chance after chance after chance. Who am I that you keep me on your mind? God, I'm just grateful for you. God, I'm just grateful for you. All my life you've been right here by my side. God, I'm just grateful for you. God, I'm just grateful for you. I survived and I'm here to testify. God, I'm just grateful for you. Oh yeah, I'm just grateful for you. I'm alright if they say I'm out of my mind. God, I'm just grateful for you. God, I'm just grateful for you.
That's a song that we played kind of after every devotion that we had together. And we were studying the book of James, so we kind of went through the whole book of James. It's a very short book. But I love James. He's very practical and very in your face about your faith. He's like, you believe in God? Well, good for you. Demons do that too. So what are you going to do about that? Kind of like the discipleship team was saying. It's not enough just to believe. Your belief is going to cause you to act. And so we had a very big group this time. We took 19 from here from St. Paul's. And then we met up with my friend from college, his church youth group. So River Oaks Church. And so they added another 7 people. So there was 26 of us. Jen and I normally have to count to like 15 because that's all it fits in a bus. But this time we were counting to 26 in 2 different buses. What we've done is, since we had so many, we're not having everybody talk about a topic like we did in the past, but we're having our seniors and our juniors talk about a topic. But everybody will share some of their memories. But Calvin's going to start off talking about some of the logistics of the trip.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Calvin, and I've been on several mission trips up to this point, but this one's really unlike one I've ever been on. We stayed in a different place than we normally do. We met up with a whole new youth group, and we really worked more with an organization this year. On these trips, we typically stay in Airbnb. However, the people at CEF were gracious enough to not only house all 26 of us, but also feed us every day. CEF stands for Child Evangelic Fellowship. They're an organization that provides children's ministries all over the world, and we stayed on their headquarters in the Volunteer Center. The rooms we stayed in each had a couple beds and a bathroom, and most of us roomed with another person. CEF provided 3 meals a day in the main building on campus, and while at the headquarters, we had access to all their on-site amenities, which was a very nice pool, beach volleyball, playground, and more. Our schedule had us waking up at about 7:30 each day, which eventually got pushed back even earlier after arriving late to breakfast one day and making the cafeteria lady a little angry. On Monday and Wednesday, after breakfast, we worked on campus for a few hours, then we had lunch, went back to work, had a devotional, dinner, a little free time, evening devotion, and then a little extra free time until lights out at 11 every night. The other days looked mostly like this, besides working on campus, which we filled in with church on Sunday and other activities. Austin conveniently couldn't be here today, but he was nice enough to let me read the speech he prepared in front of all of you. So if it's bad, I didn't write it. On Saturday, we left the church around 9, went for about 2 hours, and then stopped at a gas station to get gas, use the bathroom, and grab some snacks. For this first couple of hours, we played a game called Among Us, and it was super nice that we didn't have to listen to the same 3 country songs like last year. After we got gas, we probably drove another 3 hours before stopping at another gas station to do the same things. A little before we arrived at the retreat center, we picked up the youth group so we could all arrive together. Every day, if we went somewhere, we would take the bus and van everywhere we traveled. Jason drove the bus and Jim drove the van. On our last day, Thursday, we dropped off the other youth group at the church in the morning, and then we began our trip back home. In the bus where I rode, almost all of us slept for at least the first hour and a half, and then we listened to music for another hour until we stopped at a gas station. There was a restaurant connected to the gas station where we ate. Once we were done eating, we grabbed some snacks and kept driving home. The bus made a stop in Wabash to get more gas, and then got all back to the church around 4:30. Food-wise, on Saturday for lunch we stopped at a Mexican restaurant, and for dinner we had pizza. On Sunday for breakfast we had cereal, muffins, toast. For lunch, there were snack bags prepared, which had sandwiches and some other snacks. For dinner, we had more pizza and some sort of pasta. On Monday, for breakfast, we had scrambled eggs, bacon, and for lunch, we had chicken tenders. For dinner, we had a sloppy Joe, potato wedges, and broccoli. On Tuesday for breakfast, we had we had pancakes and sausage. For lunch, other than going to the Johnson Shut-in State Park, we went to a hot dog stand to get hot dogs and ice cream. For dinner, we had baked ham, rice, green beans, and rolls. On Wednesday, for breakfast, we had biscuits and gravy. For lunch, we had hot dogs, chips, and salad bar. For dinner, we had tater tot casserole, carrots, garlic biscuits. On Thursday, for breakfast, we had French toast sticks and ham. And for lunch, we stopped at a place called Iron Skillet on our way home. Austin's most fun moment would be playing basketball with the other youth group, and his most meaningful moment was probably just seeing how all the happy workers were, no matter the condition they were in. My most fun moment was hanging out with everybody at the Johnson Shut-in, and my most meaningful moment was the closing ceremony on the last day.
Thank you. I swear we didn't give a word count to Austin, but he must have felt that there was a certain word count he needed to reach, so you know everything we ate. Go to the next slide, Mike, if you can. That was a campus that we stayed on, so a very large campus. Again, as Calvin mentioned, there was lots of stuff for us to do there. Next slide. Calvin got very sick on Sunday when we were there. It was like 12 hours of misery and 3 hours of like concerning, like, is he going to be okay? So he was down to only being able to keep down ice chips. And so he and I stayed back from the activities, and I was his nurse for 3 or 4 hours. But then he recovered very nicely the next day. So something always happens on these trips. Somebody always gets sick. Somebody always gets hurt. We had a flat tire, but luckily I noticed it in a parking lot and not on I-70. So that was much easier to get repaired there. But again, our devotions were about getting through trials. And so God gave us a few of those to get through on the trip. And of course, they all turned out perfect. So, all right, so next we have up, talking about our service projects, Grace and Kaylee.
Okay, good morning. My name's Grace. This is my last mission trip that I'll be on, and I've been on 3. So Kaylee and I will be sharing about the service work we completed throughout the week. Our service days took place on Monday and Wednesday. I'll be talking about our work from Monday, and Kayla will be talking about our work on Wednesday. On Monday, our youth group was divided into 2 departments within CEF, maintenance and production. I was assigned to maintenance department, so I'll be sharing about the work we completed there. The maintenance department group was then split into 2 smaller groups. One group spent the day repairing door hinges throughout the building, while my group spent most of the day working outside. Because I was a part of the outdoor team, I'll be talking more about the projects we completed outside, since that's where I spent most of my time. Since it had rained earlier that morning, we started the day in their shop. We removed tools, chemicals, and other supplies from the shelves, cleaned and organized everything, threw away old and unused materials, and swept the floor. Later that morning and throughout the afternoon, we spent most of the day doing yard work. Throughout the day, we worked alongside Levi and Corbin, who were 2 employees of the maintenance crew who are around Kaylee and my age. They helped and gave us the different projects we completed throughout the day. For most of the day, we all worked together, but at times we split into smaller groups to complete different projects. Some of us removed small trees and weeds growing in rocks surrounding a large water tank, while others pulled weeds and trimmed bushes around the building's landscaping. Since Kaylee and I were old enough, we were also able to drive the Ranger to the property's dumping area, where we hauled away the weeds, branches, and other yard scraps. One of the highlights of the day, and what was probably most of our group's favorite part, was when Levi started cutting down some large branches. The rest of us worked with Corbin to collect the branches and load them into the work truck. Then 2 or 3 of us would ride with him to the dumping area to unload everything. If you got a ride in the truck, it was probably your favorite part of the day. The dumping area was at the end of a long gravel road, and because it had rained earlier, there were several large holes in the road. And Corbin wasn't afraid to floor the work truck and drive straight through the holes and whip the truck around. So the ride felt like a roller coaster, since we were bouncing up in the air most of the time, and sometimes even ended up falling over into the person next to them. It definitely made the work we did a lot more fun and something our group will remember. Looking back on the trip, some of my favorite memories happened outside of our service projects. One of my favorite parts was playing Just Dance after our evening devotions. I also really enjoyed meeting new people and making new friendships throughout the week, which of course includes meeting Jace for the first time. If you know, you know. And another highlight was the bus ride on our no phone day. Without our phones, everyone spent more time talking and getting to know each other, which made the ride a lot more fun and memorable. And by the end of the ride, people were definitely a little less tense, which if you're on the bus, you know exactly what I mean. While those were some of my favorite memories from the trip, the most meaningful moments for me happened during our service work on Monday. Earlier that day, Corbin, Levi, Kaylee, and I were talking, and Corbin mentioned that he had known Levi in high school and that Levi was a completely different person back then. Levi agreed and even referred to himself as an awful person, which made me curious about his story and what had changed in his life. I wanted to ask him about it, but I didn't want to seem nosy or put him on the spot. Later that afternoon, Levi and I were pulling weeds together, and I simply asked him how he started working at CEF and how he found the job. That one question led him to share his testimony with me and a few others who were nearby. I won't share the detail because it's his testimony to tell, but the only part I will share is he grew up as an atheist. What impacted me the most was seeing how much someone's life can change and how God can use even a small opening to completely open a new door. Even though Levi's only 21 years old, he stepped up to raise his 8-year-old sister so she can have a better life and grow up in a different environment than he did. Hearing how God has worked in his life and seeing the level of responsibility he carries at such a young age was incredibly inspiring. You can also just see and hear the love he has for God in the way he speaks and the way he talks about his life now. His testimony reminded me that no matter where someone comes from or what their past looks like, their future can be completely different, and it's a conversation I'll always remember. Another thing that impacted me that day was working alongside Levi and Corbin. I don't think I heard them complain once about the work they were doing or their job in general. Working in maintenance means they're outside in all kinds of weather: cold, snow, heat, and humidity. And that day was especially hot, with Wednesday's service day being even worse. Even in those conditions, instead of complaining, they consistently found ways to glorify God in what they were doing. For example, if someone had made a comment about how hard or hot it was, They would respond with a big smile, pointing back to God and focusing on gratitude and purpose in the work. That really stood out to me because, like I mentioned earlier, we are very close in age. I'm even older than Corbin, and it made me reflect on myself and others my age. I know that kids my age, including myself, often complain at work or in difficult situations, and don't always think about how we can glorify God in our actions or attitudes. Seeing their perspective has challenged me and helped me start changing how I view work, reminding me to focus less on complaining and more on how I can honor God in what I do. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. This was my 7th mission trip that I've been on. On Wednesday, we were in the production room, and we spent the day making these lesson packets that would eventually be mailed out to a bunch of kids around the world. I was in a small group with just Hayden and 2 guys from the other youth, Brayden and Eli, but we definitely did better than the big group that day that was there, with just us 3, or 4, yeah. We worked from about 8:30 to 3:30, I believe, and we ate lunch at 12 with a couple soda breaks in between, because they had 2 soda drinks fountains in the cafeteria, which was nice, especially when you were working outside. We ended up making 3.5 pallets total, which amounts to around 2,400 packets made in a day, plus the amount that the production group made on Monday while we were outside. The production team is understaffed, and they made it very known how thankful they were for our help. My most meaningful moment of the week was at the beginning of the week, like Jason said in the introduction, James 2:19, you believe that there is one God, good, even the demons believe that and shudder. That stood out to me, and then while we were working outside, Levi chose to share his testimony, like Grace said, and he said that if he believed in the devil, then he should try to look into who this Jesus guy was. And when I shared this moment with the group later on, Jason pointed out that many times when something stands out from the Bible, God shows us things that correlate. And my most fun moment was the shut-ins.
All right, Ella's going to share about our fun day.
Good morning. I'm Ella, and 2 weeks ago I was able to go on the Missouri mission trip. I had a wonderful time. We did so many fun things on this trip, such as the Elephant Rock State Park, where we got to see these huge rocks that truly made us wonder how they got here. They were so large, and they were big rocks balancing on even bigger rocks, and only God could create this sort of experience. A large group of us walked through the rocks and made it to the other side of the park, and another group of us decided to sit on the rocks at the beginning of the trail and wait on the others. While we were sitting there, we all talked about the rocks and how it was so cool that God was able to create this. Before we went to this park, we had stopped for lunch in a small town. We decided to go to the hot dog stand and then get ice cream afterwards. The coolest thing from this was that in both places, we got asked what kind of group we were. We were told them that we were a youth group, and everyone thought it was so cool we were able to go on this type of trip, and many wished that their youth group had done the same. So thank you for making it possible for us to take these trips. The most fun part of our trip for me this year was our fun day when we went to Johnson Shut-ins, Elephant Rock State Park, the hot dog stand, and ice cream place. The most memorable part for me was meeting new people who love Jesus so much and all the friendships that were made and grown on this trip. Thank you again for allowing us to go.
And now Megan and Hayden are going to share about some of the spiritual activities we did.
Okay. So this trip, there seemed to be a common theme. Sorry, is this like... Okay. Every time somebody would tell us their story or talk to us about the Lord, it felt the same way in one particular thing: trust. The way this all happened was truly amazing and only happened because of one person: God. Hopefully I can describe to you some of the ways we got to experience and learn how to trust God completely. Starting on Saturday night, Jason read us the entire book of James, where we got to listen and soak up the words that we would be visiting throughout the week. This allowed us to develop a sense of reputation that made it stick more in our minds. Sunday morning, we visited River Oaks Church. This was a different experience from ours, but truly amazing to see that there is more than just the county line way to worship. Pastor Dean spoke about how we let ourselves go into self-driven modes, where we are reading our Bibles, going to church, and are worshiping, only because it's part of the routine. He spoke from Luke 15:11 through 24. It's a common passage, the parable of the lost son. You probably have heard it before, but he talked about how God is like the Father and we are like the Son. When we realize we are wrong and come running back, the Father welcomes us with open arms. He used the analogy of God as a fountain. If you are standing there and not getting wet, you are doing something wrong. You should jump into the water no matter how wet you get or what you are wearing. He is waiting on you, not you waiting on him. Sunday night, we also heard again from Pastor Dean and another guy from the church, Doug. They both shared their testimonies with us, and they both shared almost about the same thing, unplanned by them, but perfectly planned by God again. They shared that if you are willing to jump into your relationship with God and fully trust Him, everything else will be handled. If you are trusting God completely, it can save you and sometimes others from hurt and pain. Doug made a decision in high school that he is forever sorry for and wanted us to know that no matter how funny something can be in the moment, it might not be when you're 54 years old. He is still reminded every day of this decision and how it affected this person. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday nights, we used the Book of James Bible study. One of the first questions Pastor Jason asked us was, "Who is James?" You might have thought it was the disciple James, me too at first, but we quickly learned that it's Jesus' younger brother, James. Throughout the book, we got to read and answer questions about the things James was saying, which helped us with our understanding. The point of this book of James is to warn us about all the things of the world. In chapter 1, it started with the test of trials. Trials in your life are like strenuous spiritual workouts. If you will quit, you will never get any stronger in your faith. Next, we talked about favoritism. And in this session, we got to talk about how if we are poor in this world, we are rich in faith. Monday, we got to the end of James 2, and he said something that really stuck with me. And Kaylee and Jason have also referred to it. So James 2, 19 through 20 says, even you say you have faith, for you believe there is one God. Good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in fear. How foolish. This shows James' character and urgency to tell us that we have to believe now. We need to start trusting. Tuesday, we finished with James 3, and this chapter was talking about controlling our tongues. My favorite was when James said we can tame all kinds of animals to do whatever we want, but we cannot tame ourselves. Our last night in this book, we talked about there's no favoritism from God. He loves us all so much, and he shows each and every one of us wisdom that is loving and gentle. My most meaningful moment was worshiping at River Oaks. They were not afraid to show how much they loved God. They had their hands in the air and were praying with each other throughout the closing song. My most fun moment, there were two I could not pick between, so you get to hear about both. First, Lex, Ella, and I decided it would be smart to throw Sour Pouch Kids into our mouths. That did not go as planned, and they were all over Ella's bed, and I had a foot in the face. Then, Wednesday night, Lex and I took our very heavy and trash suitcases into Ella's room and attempted to repack. Let's just say you could not see the floor or the bed for quite a bit of time.
So Wednesday, we went to their youth group. They currently do not have a youth pastor, so they had somebody step up to teach. And we learned a lot about why you should choose to believe in God. He gave us reasons like eyewitnesses, time when the Bible was wrote, comparing it to other religions like that. We also played a game called 9 Square, which is like 4 Square, but over your head. So it's like volleyball hitting it like that in a 9 Square. My most fun moment was going through the shut-ins, and most meaningful was getting to listen to testimonies by the people there.
Thank you. So let's see what other slides we have here, and then we'll have people kind of run through some of their own. Is there any more in there, Mike? All right. Yeah, so some people have already mentioned kind of at the end, kind of our last night together, we kind of share what's been really meaningful to us that week, what God has really drawn to us. And they're always special moments, but when you have 26 youth who have come from 2 different churches and then become one group, it took about a day and a half. You know, at first it was kind of the St. Paul's group and the River Oaks group, but by a day and a half, it was one group. Everybody sharing some meaningful things going on in their lives, meaningful things that God was speaking to them through our studies, through our work, through anything going on. And so by that evening, everybody was really willing. So, sometimes we go around the room in a circle and the way people are, and I'm like, whenever anybody's ready to share, just raise your hand. And all the hands went up. And it was just a great testimony of a lot of people growing in their relationships with God that week and with each other. And it was beautiful to see. And so we shared communion, and Jen and I did foot washing for our 2 seniors. And that was just a really powerful moment for us to serve them one last time in their official role as youth members. And so there's just these beautiful things that happen. And so some of the other youth are going to share their most fun moment and the most meaningful moment from the trip. So Noah, you're closest. We'll go with you.
My name's Noah, and I went on the youth trip, and my favorite thing I did was go to the falls, like the waterfalls, and the most memorable thing was seeing everyone smile.
I'm Ava, and I went on the missions trip 2 weeks ago. It was really fun, but what was the most fun for me on the trip was when we went to the shut-ins. They were the rocks that we all climbed on, and they were in the river, and where a bunch of people jumped. I did not jump. For me, what was really meaningful was the last night we had together. Seeing my mom and Jason with our seniors, Grace and Kaylee, really showed me how strong the relationships you make in youth are.
For those who don't know, my name's Everly, and something meaningful in Missouri for me was just getting to know everyone. Being new to youth, being new to youth and was getting to know everyone. Being new to youth made this experience really make new friends. I also made so many friends from the other youth group. Having another youth group to share the experiences with made this week even better. Getting to know everyone made it easier for me to open up and feel more comfortable talking in the group. Something fun we did was going to the Johnson Shut-In State Park. I really enjoyed getting on one of the tall rocks and seeing God's masterpiece. It was really beautiful. I am really looking forward to going to more mission trips in the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brooklyn Grimes. This is my 3rd youth mission trip, and I had a blast. My most fun event was either the Shut-Ins Park, which was super cool. You're basically swimming and hiking at the same time, or doing Just Dance late at night every night. My most memorable event was the communion and foot washing of the seniors. It was just such a holy moment that I won't forget. I also just wanted to take a moment and thank everyone for making this trip possible. It means so much to us that we are able to go on these trips and deepen our faith. Thank you.
I'm Emery. My most fun moment was probably watching Just Dance late at night every night. And then my most meaningful moment was how loving all the people were at CEF.
Hi, my name's Mason. The most fun thing that we did was the campus activities on campus. I say that because even tightening door hinges, Thomas was doing it with a smile on his face. The most meaningful thing was the tour of the campus departments. I say that because you would turn a corner and somebody would say, "Nice to see you at church yesterday." And they were just so welcoming to their workplace. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Henry Grimes, and this is my first mission trip. The most fun was playing basketball with River Oaks youth. The most meaningful was communion at Wednesday night. Thank you.
All right, now we got a challenge for Mike to see if he can get those videos up from some of our youth who couldn't make it today, and then we have some from the River Oak youth also. So. That's not one of the videos we made. Ours are up there, starting with Cade.
From River Oaks Church, and my name is Cade from River Oaks Church, and the most fun thing that I found about this trip was probably the work days, because the first day I loved working outside, just to see all the nature that they had around the quarters, and the production was really fun because I got to see more of how they do the mail and all of the sending things out. The most meaningful part about the trip was probably the relationships that I made during the fun days.
They got two different ones. Go ahead and play that one too. They separated their most meaningful.
The most meaningful part about this trip was probably the relationships that I made during the fun days and I only gone to 2, and I just find that Cade from River Oaks Church and enjoyable. The most fun thing and meaningful because I've only gone to 2 other states, so just getting to know people from other than those 2 states, like, it was very enjoyable and meaningful to me.
Hi. Okay, so my favorite thing was probably the shut-ins. I really enjoyed this because it was just so cool and beautiful, and I just can't, it's just hard to sit there and imagine, oh God, they made this because it's so pretty and stuff. Okay, so that is so cool. I really hope to go back there. And then my most memorable thing was
You want one of the youth to come up and run it for you, Mike?
Hi. Okay, so my favorite thing was probably the shut-ins. I really enjoyed this because it was just so cool and beautiful, and I just can't, it's just hard to sit there and imagine, oh God, they made this because it's so pretty, and so I was like, that is so cool. I really hope to go back there. And then my most memorable thing was probably the workers at CEF that we worked with and we ran into. They were also just so joyful and so sweet, and they were all so nice. They all had a smile on their face no matter what. The people that we worked with in production, they were just so happy and just so talkative, and I want to go back there.
What I found to be the most fun thing that we did was we played Just Dance with a bunch of other guys from the other youth group, and we just acted crazy until 11 o'clock at night when we went to bed. That's what I found the most fun.
Go.
My name is Eli, and I'm from River Oaks Church. And the most meaningful thing that happened is just seeing all the relationships getting built over time with not only just the other people from the other youth group, but also the other workers as well. While you're working with them and helping, them do their job, it really builds relationships.
One of my favorite parts was getting to walk around campus. It was fun exploring the area, spending time with friends, and enjoying everything the campus had to offer. Another highlight of the trip was swimming in the pool. It was a great way to cool off, relax, and make memories together. We had such a fun time, laughing, swimming, and just enjoying each other's company. We also visited Johnson's Shut-In State Park, which was one of the coolest places I've ever seen. It was amazing to see the unique rocks, formations, and the flowing water. Walking around and exploring the park reminded me of how incredible God's creation is. Seeing the beauty in nature all around us made me appreciate the creativity and power of God even more. This trip was filled with fun, friendship, and opportunities to grow my faith. I'm so thankful for the memories we made and the chance to experience God's creation in such a special way.
Hello, I'm Braden Swayze, and I'm from River Oaks Church, and the most meaningful part of this trip was probably the devotions. I find it meaningful because of the intimate atmosphere, and everyone's just very open with each other, and it was nice to learn how other people got to where they were today, and provides a sense of like comfort and encouragement to know that I am still on the right path even if things might not be going my way. The most fun part of this trip was honestly the service work. It was meant to be more work, but I found a lot of joy in it. I found a lot of joy in helping people, and the workers there were just nice and they enjoyed their work as well, which obviously made it a lot easier for me to have fun and enjoy what I was doing.
My name's Hudson. My most fun moment was probably playing basketball the first time we did with the other youth group and a couple of our boys. And that's just when I got to know them the best. Like, we just had a lot of fun. And most meaningful, probably just not just one moment, but getting to know the other youth group a lot better. They're pretty nice.
My name is Jace Yoder. Some call me Alpha Jace, and I'm from River Oaks Youth Group. And the most meaningful thing was probably the relationships I made and us spreading the word and making packets for everybody. And then, do I have to do it? The most fun thing was probably us on a fun day trip to Johnson Shut-ins and Elephant Rocks and all of the different activities that we did during our free time.
That was Grace's favorite little buddy from the trip. Jen, do you have anything you want to add?
So I will tell you what my most fun moment was. I have like 3 because I couldn't narrow it down. Of course, the shut-ins, as everybody else was saying. Walmart runs were always a good time. And a woodchuck conversation. My most memorable was probably on Monday when we were working. My group was in the production room, and I sat across from a man named Pat. And he gave me his testimony. What I enjoyed about the testimony was that he gave everything to God, and that included his family. His wife and his kids left him due to his Christianity, and that just meant something to me. And he also told us that each book that we did was a set of child's eyes. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the why we do these trips. It's for all the little moments that these guys enjoy doing, the kindness that they show to each other and to others that they're serving, and serving each other. So as in like we picked weeds and we did tree trimming and all of that on the outside of the building, and it helps us to look presentable, or to also help us look like we care about our appearance, which is our body that is God's, and we take care of God's building. So doing the doorknobs and hinges reminded us that we need to do maintenance on our Christian lives, reading our Bibles, being in fellowship with each other. And then the boxing and chipping help them to remember that we work together as Christians to teach each other about Jesus. I mean, I know that we can do that here, but it's nice to do it for others. And as we're doing it for others, we're doing it for each other.
Thank you. I think what stood out to me most on this trip was just, you heard teenagers talking about relationship over and over and over. And, you know, sometimes they can be standoffish or answer with one-word answers. But on this trip, on those evenings, they were really sharing deep things with each other, and it was beautiful to see. Beautiful to just be in the same room as that happening. And when we would go out into public, people would ask, what is this group? Because they had spent a week drawing near to God. Because they had spent a week giving their more attention to God, it was noticeable. When you see two buses full of teenagers pull up on a restaurant, the first thing the workers think is, oh, shoot. And when people are eating there, oh, man, this is going to get really loud and obnoxious. And we walk in, and everybody's really polite, really courteous of the people in front, making room. And so much so that people noticed, what is this group? And Jen and I would just say, you know what, this is a youth group that's really turning their attention to God this week. And so it provided these openings, and they saw firsthand of how our behavior can be a testimony. And so these trips are wonderful. There's so much more that we don't share because we had to build that trust with each other before we share it. But it occurs there. So thank you for facilitating that. On the youth blog, there's lots more photos and lots more information. So if you're interested in learning even more, it's in your bulletin. You can follow that link. I'll ask Tracy to post it on our Facebook. That way you can go directly there. But thank you for investing in the youth program. Thank you for investing in these trips. If you could be there for any of these moments, you would fund it 10 times what we actually pay for these trips. It's amazing things happen. So we're going to huddle up and pray like we always do, and we'll end the service that way. So. Father, we thank you for this trip. We thank you for you. We thank you that you planned everything that you did, that the people we talked to would reinforce the verses that we read in the morning, that the topics we talked about you would give us demonstrations of. When we turned our attention to you, we realized that you're always giving us your undivided attention. Thank you for everybody who went. Thank you for everybody that we encountered. Thank you for this church for being such great supporters of these type of experiences. And just thank you for the word that kept coming up is relationships. You know, we grew closer to you. We grew closer to River Oaks youth. We grew closer to each other. That's important. That's meaningful. And on Father's Day, we recognize you as our Father, and we got to father each other in certain ways. And I got to serve that role for many of the youth. And what an honor that is that Jen and I get to be mom and dad for a week. Thank you for all those opportunities. Thank you for being who you are. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. You are dismissed.